I was a caveman during the Paleolithic era.
Have you ever had a patient who in a past life recall has talked about living in a period of history that is just way back in time, before recorded history?
Myself. I can easily answer that question. I was a caveman during the Paleolithic era, and I've had many clients who had the same experience I have. Of course, being a rebellious person who's against authority, very oftentimes I was kicked out of the tribe and forced to fend on my own and just to leave the community. This was probably 50, 60,000 years ago. But yes, when you consider the length of time it takes for us to reach a stage where we're not incarnating anymore, it can take thousands and thousands of years. So yes, I've had many clients who existed during the Paleolithic and Neolithic eras. Now, of course, the younger souls haven't been around for perhaps only a few thousand years. So it kind of depends on when you jumped on the merry-go-round.
So can I ask you, have you ever had a patient from any of the so-called lost civilizations such as Atlantis or Lemuria?
I always laugh at that question because for two reasons. One, I've done a lot of interviews with Shirley MacLaine, and Shirley MacLaine loves to talk about her life on Atlantis. I suggested once to Shirley, I've never had her as a client, on a radio show that she might be having recalls from a hybrid on a world which was similar to how we have described Atlantis, a water world. And in the beginning she was kind of resistant. I think I'm maybe turning her a little more towards my way of thinking, but I can't be positive, but at least she's thinking about it. Now, does this mean I don't believe in Atlantis? Well, as a historian, it can't be proved or disproved. I think it's interesting. I mean, after all, we have a situation here where Plato talked to someone who had been to Egypt. In fact, Plato researched this a lot, where they claimed that there was a history of an island nation that was quite advanced, and maybe what we're talking about, something 10,000, 8,000 years ago, perhaps. So this was written down by Plato and called it Atlantis. A lot of people think that it was in the Atlantic Ocean around the Canary Islands. Others think it's in the Aegean Sea, perhaps where the island of Santorini is today. But quite oftentimes I find people that say in the middle of LBL, I'm in Atlantis, and I'll say, like I did when I talked about meeting Jesus, well, let's talk a little more about Atlantis, and what does this look like, and what do you see around you in the way of ocean or water or whatever. And as we go further into it, I find that they're on another world, and that they carried that memory to Earth, and they assume that this memory was an Earth memory. Now, does this mean I think that Atlantis is an absolute false mythology? I don't know. Honestly don't know. Nobody knows, really. We're still exploring the idea of an Atlantis. So I think the broader question here is it possible that some of our mythology and the symbolism that we have about certain things is basically grounded in truth, although we may not quite be able to perceive of the origins of that truth? In this case, perhaps Atlantis was really another world, a water world, where there were strange creatures that were intelligent and so forth. So I think this kind of symbolism, archetypes, if you will, if you want to use a Jungian psychology here, mythology perhaps has its origins in experience, only maybe just not on Earth.